hope you can hear us. I would like to welcome you to this Info Day session dedicated to Horizon Europe 2025 call on the mission A Soil Day for Europe. I am here with my whole team. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a long way preparing a work program, and now we are here to present it to you. It's a nice moment, so we can exchange for the first time on this new work program that we have for 2025. I am Oshria Frison. I am the acting head of unit F2, Research and Innovation in DG Agri, and I will be your moderator for this session. It's a pleasure to be here, even if it's only virtually, with you to present this work program 2025, so dedicated to the Mission Soil work program. Let me inform you about the important dates to keep in mind. That is the most important. So you know that we have opened the call the 15th of May, and the closing date is the 13th September 2025 for the single stage calls. And when it comes to the two-stage calls, the closing date is the 4th September 2025 for the first stage and the 18th of February 26 for the second stage. And now let's go to see the program of this afternoon. So after a brief update on the Mission Soil implementation, we will dive into each of the 13 topics of Work Program 2025. We will do it in slots. You will have 3-4 topics presented each time. We will have 3 blocks. And in between, you will have the opportunity to raise questions via Slido. And I will explain you later on how we will do that. Also, to info you, so you are able to prepare yourself, we plan to have a 10 minutes break just after the second question and answer session around 4:50. And before going to the content, I would like to explain you some technicalities related to our online session. Those that has followed the previous sessions, you know very well the way we work. But we might have people that joined for the first time, so it's always good to recall. So I would like to invite you to raise questions, and you can raise questions via Slido. You can simply scan the QR code, or you can go to the web page of Slido and there insert the link to our session, EU Missions Info Days, and there you need to select the room that is dedicated to Soil Day for Europe. I would also like you, when you are raising question, to label the question and to link it to the topic number. I will give you an example, so it would help us to identify to which topic your question is related to. So, for example, you have a topic titled Horizon Mission 2025-05 Soil 05. We would like you to put the end of this title, Soil 05. In that way, we'll be able to link your question to a given topic. And just a reminder, before writing your question, check if the same question has already been sent from others. In that case, you can also upvote the questions, which is considered the most interesting. And that is also the way that we will go through the different questions that we received. After the session, if your question has not been answered, please consider checking the available guidance and frequently asked questions on the EU Funding and Tenders portal. If you don't find the answer, you can submit your question to the Research Inquiry Service. We reply you in that case by writing. And of course, you have also the opportunity to contact your national contact points who can also reply to your questions. And before starting the presentations, we would like to raise a question on Slido. It's also a way to test how far you are ready to use the Slido. And the question we would like to ask you is whether if you have previously participated to the course of the Mission Soil. So you can go into Slido, enter the virtual room, and there you will find the question. And when you are in, it's a simple yes or no answer that you can provide. Of course, your reply will be anonymized. And I will give 1-2 minutes to leave you the time to respond, and there you also can follow the results. I don't know if you see it directly. I see it directly. Yes, to see the same as I see. So you see it's also directly the replies that we are receiving. As you know, we have launched the mission soil in 2021. So now we have some working years behind us. And I see the yes replies growing. It's a good sign. Oh, I don't know, it's a good sign. It's also nice to have new applicants, new people who are interested in the mission soils. You are broadening the community dedicated to soil health. And I will come back to that later on. I will just wait some seconds, and after we can move on. It seems that yes, it's close. So we have a little bit more no and yes in the last screen that I have seen, but it is rather balanced. So welcome for the newcomers. And thank you for those who have already followed us to be here also today for this Info Days for the Work1 2025. And now let's go to the content. And first, I would like to update you on the mission implementation. So you get an overview of the action of the mission itself. As you are likely all aware by now, the goal of the mission, a SOID for Europe, is to lead the transition towards healthy soils by 2030 through the creation of 100 living labs and lighthouses. The mission also aims to fill knowledge gaps by supporting transdisciplinary research and innovation, contribute to the development of a harmonized EU soil monitoring framework, and enhance soil literacy and citizen engagement. The mission supports several EU policies, notably the Common Agricultural Policy and the recently published Vision for Agriculture and Food, the EU Soil Strategy for 2030, and the upcoming Directive on Soil Monitoring and Resilience, which should be nearing its final stage. We had a good progress. I am sure you have followed the discussion on the directive. The directive proposal refers to the mission soil as a key instrument for its implementation, and the mission has already been instrumental to assess soil health in the EU, supporting the creation of a soil health dashboard in collaboration with the GRC. The mission is strongly committed to contribute to a robust and comprehensive soil health monitoring framework in the EU. For that reason, all projects are expected to ensure that relevant data, maps, and information can potentially be available through the EU Soil Observatory. After 4 years of implementation, the mission is well on track towards its main goal. The first 45 living labs will be up and running in 2025 to reach 100 of living labs by 2028. These living labs will involve more than 1,000 sites, farms, lands, plots, industrial sites. Let me clarify that many other mission projects are also using the Living Labs methodology, but it is not an obligation in that case, and Living Labs should only be used if and where relevant. The mission has already implemented more than 400 million euros for consecutive work programs of the last 4 years, 21, 22, 23, and 24. The current 50 mission projects cover different areas and are delivering results. Training in capacity building, new decontamination technologies, new business models such as carbon farming, including advanced MRV methods, digital tools such as soil digital twins using AI, more than 70,000 soil relevant results and datasets cataloged, circular economy solutions for soil health and soil biodiversity. These projects count with more than 100-300 participants, universities, research organizations, land managers, SMEs, governments, citizens, and other stakeholders. 3 project clusters have been also established to facilitate exchange and cooperation among projects. Data and knowledge management, indicators and monitoring, communication and stakeholder engagement. And we are also having in the pipeline 2 new upcoming clusters dedicated on business models and pollution. The mission soil has received significant attention and support from member states, regional and local authorities, and raised an enthusiastic response from the community of practitioners and stakeholders. 2,800 individuals and organizations, regional and local authorities, NGOs, industries, universities from all across Europe have signed the Soil Manifesto we have launched in April 2023. I would like to also briefly mention all communication and engagement activities. There are many different ways you can get involved in mission soil activities beyond the funded calls. I would like to focus on two activities in particular you may be interested in. And I hope the first you have already heard about it, the Mission Soil Manifesto, I already mentioned previously, which is a non-legally binding document available in all EU languages, outlining the importance of soil health and the commitment to achieving healthy soils by 2030. The document acts as a lever to raise awareness on the mission, promotes soil literacy and encourages local action for soil health, and fosters collaboration between different stakeholders. If you would like to show your engagement for soil health, please sign the Soil Manifesto. It is a powerful tool to raise awareness and action on soil health. Signing the manifesto will make you enter into the community, engage for soil health, give you visibility and access to mission-led knowledge and involvement in mission activities beyond Horizon Europe goals. I also invite you to stay up to date to our next events, in particular our major annual event, the European Mission Soil Week 2025. It will be the third edition of the Mission Week. I hope you have participated to the previous ones. This one will take place in Denmark, in Aarhus, beginning of November, between the 5th and the 6th November 2025, and we will organize it with the Danish presidency of the Council of the EU. All the information and many others you can find on the Mission Soil platform, so please connect and there you can get all to the updated information on the Mission Soil. Now I will give you a quick overview of what we will present this afternoon. The work program 25 that we present today is stepping stone in the mission's roadmap. Overall, we have a budget of 121 million euros and comprise a total of 13 topics that you have on screen. The 2025 calls aim to address critical soil challenges through innovative research and actionable strategies. Key priorities include establishing living labs for soil remediation, assessing social and economic impacts of land degradation, enhancing resilience via improved soil water management, and developing monitoring frameworks, including for the soil monitoring law, as mentioned previously in the introduction. Additional efforts focus on quantifying agricultural impacts on soil health, promoting sustainable biomass production, and fostering citizen engagement in land management. The initiative also supports soil health science policy interfaces and aims to reduce carbon emissions through carbon farming networks. Lastly, two additional living lab topics will focus on soil health challenges in continental, boreal, and alpine biogeographical regions of Europe, while the second expands the living labs approach to Africa and Latin America and Caribbean. With your help, we are committed to equip EU land managers with practical tools and innovative solutions to be more resilient and sustainable. It is very important that proposals build on previous projects to create synergies and multiply impacts. Topic single stage work program 2025. You can see here the title of the topics, single stage, the type of action, budget, and number of projects expected per topic. In total, the single stage call has an overall budget of 73 million euros for 11 topics, which are expected to fund 12 projects. And now the two-stage topics. The two-stage call had an overall budget of 48 million euros for 2 topics, which are expected to fund 5 projects. And now let's go to the core business. And we will start the presentation of the first 3 topics. And the first 3 topics will be dedicated to the living labs topics. I would like to welcome the first presenter, Jelena Vidovic. She's working in our unit F2, and she will present the topic Living Labs for Soil Remediation and Green Redevelopment of Brownfields. Please, Jelena, the floor is yours for 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. So I have the honor to present you the first topic, Living Labs for Soil Remediation and Green Redevelopment of Brownfields. And the project under this topic is intended to expand and complement the existing network of mission soil living labs that was initiated with the previous work programs. If you look at the policy, then the topic directly contributes to the overall, the main mission goal, that is to establish 100 living labs and lighthouses, and it supports all mission-specific objectives. It also supports the soil monitoring law proposal, and the activities under this topic should also contribute to meeting the European Green Deal targets, such as those related to biodiversity, zero pollution, and biotechnology. Now, when it comes to expected outcomes, the first one is actually fundamental for Living Lab approach, for collaboration, and for bridging the gap between research practice and policy. So it concerns increased capacities for participatory, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary research innovation to co-create and co-implement solutions for soil remediation and green redevelopment of brownfields. The second expected outcome concerns that tools, knowledge, practices, innovation solutions that are being developed within living labs are made available to stakeholders, which would eventually lead to enhanced consideration and uptake of effective solutions. And finally, the last expected outcomes concerns feedback to policy, so that policymakers are more aware of local needs regarding soil remediation and green redevelopment of brownfields, and so that they can design more effective policies. And when it comes to scope, the project should set up 4 to 5 living labs to work together on soil remediation and green redevelopment of brownfields. Living labs should work together on relevant soil health challenges, contributing to one or more mission-specific objectives. Now, living labs should be well coordinated, and they should work together on topics of common interest. So rationale and mechanism for cooperation within each living lab and across living labs should be well explained. In order to assess soil changes through time and compare between the sites, each living lab should establish a baseline for relevant soil indicator using descriptors or indicators from the soil monitoring law proposal. If needed, these indicators should be complemented with additional indicators. Then the project is expected to propose and assess innovative solutions for soil remediation and potential green redevelopment, including technical, economical, social, and environmental viability. And finally, the project is expected also to propose strategies to ensure long-term sustainability of established living labs beyond Horizon Europe funding. This includes also identification of business models. The applicants are reminded that mission has that they could collaborate with ongoing mission projects on business models. Indicative budget is 12 million euros, so there will be one project funded under this topic. And final remarks that are quite relevant is that the project is also expected to collaborate with Soil L, which is support structure for living labs. And also the project is supposed to build on existing knowledge that is being developed within mission, but also other Horizon Europe projects, so that dedicated tasks and appropriate resources are assigned also for this collaboration. And finally, there is an option financial support to third parties, which aims to facilitate the involvement of small actors or stakeholders that are usually not participating in these type of projects. And with this, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jelena. And now let's go to the next topic. It is a two-stage topic, living labs to enhance soil health in continental, boreal, and alpine biogeographical regions, and it will be presented by Ben van der Slaag. Please, Ben.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. So I will guide you through, well, the main aspects of this topics, starting with policy context. So in which policy context do we need to see this topic? So the activities, in fact, under this topic should contribute to the implementation of the mission soil with all the specific objectives, so similar to the previous call, and as well the implementation of the soil monitoring law. And more in general, the activities, they should also be seen in the context of the European Green Deal ambitions and the recently published Vision for Agriculture and Food. In terms of outcomes, so we expect the proposal should cover, similar to the previous one, these four, let's say, angles. First, project should contribute to research and innovation, and more particularly to increase the capacities for R&I to co-create and implement economically viable soil health solutions. The second angle, more on monitoring and data. So the projects here, the project results, they should improve soil health monitoring and availability of soil data at both local and regional level. Thirdly, the increased availability of practice-oriented knowledge and tools should result in an enhanced uptake of effective soil health solutions. And last but not least, the policy angle. Here, the activities are expected to raise awareness of local needs among policymakers, so more effective policies on soil health can be implemented. So that's a bit in a nutshell the relations to the outcomes. So, and how should this be done? Here as well, the ambition is to set up 4 to 5 living labs, specifically in continental, boreal, or alpine biogeographical regions. And why these 3 regions? Well, from an analysis we made of the current living labs, we concluded that these regions were underrepresented, and therefore this specific call for these 3 biogeographical regions. These living labs, they should work together on relevant soil health challenges, contribute to 1 or more of the mission-specific objectives. Here as well, there is no obligation to cover all the objectives, so 1 or several is enough. From the selected soil health challenges, each living lab should establish a baseline and also use indicators from the soil monitoring law. Here as well, the proposal should include strategies to ensure the long-term sustainability of the established living labs beyond Horizon Europe funding, and their work as well on business models. And as you can see on the right side, the budget is available here is 36 million euro, and 3 projects are going to be funded. That's the idea. So 12 million euro per project. It's important to notice as well that there should be dedicated task and resources to collaborate with SOIL and also with other projects. And similar to the previous topic, there's a financial support to third parties possible. It's an option with a maximum here of 60,000 euro. So more details you can find back in the call text. And well, if you have any questions, please put them in Slido. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. And now let's go to the last one in this first block of topics that are presented. It is also a 2-stage topic, broadening the Living Labs approach for soil health in Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. It will be presented by Luis Sanchez Alvarez. He is our head of sectors who is coordinating the whole work on the mission soil. Please, Luis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Solia, and good afternoon, everyone. This topic contributes to the challenge of providing millions of small land managers, for example, farmers, with access to locally adapted, field-specific solutions and tailored advice for protecting and restoring soil health. This topic addresses all mission objectives and also applies the Living Lab approach, but adapted to specific needs of regions other than Europe. It also addresses the mission international dimension, supporting EU's commitments and strategies. Projects are expected to contribute to all these outcomes. Of course, stop soil degradation and improve soil health. It has to develop practical tools for local communities and small managers and follow the Living Labs approach. So be participatory, knowledge-based, context-specific, and including also monitoring soil health. It should establish a knowledge exchange and learning mechanism that can be replicated and attract additional funding for the scale-up. It should also support policymakers to set up a supportive framework for continued generation, replication, and adoption of solutions. We don't really expect a replication of the previous Mission Soil Living Labs, but an adaptation to the regional and local conditions in these two regions, Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean, and an scalable methodology. Proposals should then support the setup of at least 12 participatory initiatives. It should cover a diversity of environmental, socioeconomic, and cultural contexts, integrating knowledge and expertise. That's very important as well from social sciences and humanities disciplines. Monitor and assess progress using adequate indicators. Support actors, providing, for example, training, capacity building, knowledge exchange. Another chapter will be also to develop an inclusive exchange mechanism to enable rapid peer-to-peer learning and a toolbox to support the adaptation and replication and ensure long-term ambition, continuity, and sustainability of the mechanism beyond the Horizon Europe funding, including, for example, attracting other funding from other entities like philanthropic organizations. Important information to keep in mind is that we plan to fund 2 projects of 6 million each approximately. Exceptionally, in this topic, all legal entities established in African Union and CELAC states are eligible for funding, as well as international organizations with headquarters in the Union, in associated countries, African Union, and CELAC region. Proposals must apply the multi-actor approach and must also provide financial support to third parties to set up this minimum number of 12 participatory initiatives. At least 60% of the total EU contribution should be used for this purpose, with a maximum of 300,000 euros per grant. Finally, to highlight that actors involved in the participatory initiatives should not be partners in the selected proposals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. Now we have finished the presentation of the first 3 topics. It's time to raise questions, and I think that we are already getting many questions related to the topics. In general, on Living Labs, we used to have many questions. It's the same this year. So I think maybe we can display the first question, and that is related to topic that Jelena presented. Can military-owned sites be part of a Living Lab, or must soil be civilian-owned? How to justify that no future military use or dual use risk applies?
Thank you for the question. It's indeed a complex question, and I would say the ownership of brownfields in general could be a potential limitation when it comes to planning. I would say that the ownership at this stage is not. We can definitely not prescribe that. What you can do is address this in a planning, so address the potential limitations when it comes to ownership, when it comes to governance, and propose mitigation measures. And when I'm saying planning and mitigation measures, I mean how would you have access to the site? Could you obtain a permit to access that site? So you have to think about this and include it in your planning and include mitigation measures, and based on that, make your decision. But ownership would not be prescribed at the topic level. For the future use, military use, dual use, I would say that it's out of remit of of the project to think about that aspect. So the objective of this topic is to propose solutions for soil remediation, for future green redevelopment, but the decision making is anyhow not on the project. So you will propose solutions, but somebody else would decide what would be happening on any given brownfield. So I think this aspect is not relevant for this stage of proposal for the project. In case you wanted to ask something else that I did not get the nuance of question, well, please, you can send a written question afterwards to Research Required Service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another interesting question. Are cross-border living labs shared between two member states welcome and useful? I think on that we can reply very quickly. And it's also related to the first topic, as far as I see.
In general,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, if there is a rationale for cooperation, so if there is a topic of common interest, either soil health challenge or the attack of soil, environmental conditions, pedoclimatic conditions, anything that's a rationale for cooperation, yes.
Yes, I think yes. I think we can. Yeah. Can sites contaminated with radioactive elements, natural or artificial, be considered in this topic? And I think we are still in your topic here.
Yes. So it's a good question again, and there are brownfields in Europe that have radioactive waste, but normally radioactive waste, radioactive contamination is handled outside the brownfield policy, and it's handled under other regulations. So for this particular topic, the answer would be no, it would not be classified as considered as a brownfield.
Thank you, Elena. And now a more general question. Can laboratories and study sites from countries non-associated to Horizon Europe participate as partners? Can sites from those countries be part of living labs? Luis maybe can take it, yeah.
Yeah, they can, but the rules for funding eligibility apply here. So this is to be seen exactly what's the status of that third country when it comes to funding eligibility.
So on the first topic, I think we have replied to the questions that has been raised. Now let's go to the second topic. Can experimental sites of research institute which enable testing methods adapted to local realities be considered as a living lab sites? And I think it is related to which of the, it seems to be to the two lists. Because it's 01, 2S.
Stage.
Two stage. Okay, so it's still the 01. Okay, so then it's for you. My mistake.
Well, the answer short, yes, could be. They can be considered as living labs, yes. So.
It was quick. Thank you very much. Very clear. Let's move to the next question. Is it accepted that one of the 5 living labs will be established outside of one of the 3 biogeographic regions targeted by the topic? For example, 4 living labs in continental and 1 living labs in boreal, and 4 living labs in continental and 1 living labs in Mediterranean.
Here the question, the answer as well is can be quite short. Yes, it's possible. So the majority of the living labs should be in one of these 3 biogeographical regions.
Thank you, Ben. Another one, can experimental sites of a research institute which
we answered this one already.
you answer this one. So, and that one also. Yes, I think we have replied to this question because it is related to one that you have already replied. It is possible to combine in one living lab sites located in 2 different biogeographical regions, for example, continental and alpine.
Yes, but let's say the relation between both, or the rationale between the continental and alpine should be made clear in the proposal, because we are one living lab and it's here about different sites in different biogeographical regions.
Luis, maybe you want to comment on that?
No, no, it's
No, it's okay. Okay, so it's a question of relevance of the topic as it will be the application that will be presented and the meaningfulness of the question or of the proposal. Can a consortium have partners outside the 3 targeted biogeographical regions? I think you have already replied to this question. And the reply is yes. Let's move to the next question. Do we need to address all expected outcomes mentioned for the topic? Yes, it's for Luis.
yes, they have to address all.
And the next one is also on the third topic. What kind of land use is targeted by the it disappeared. Question. Address the question that's highlighted on top. Okay. So on the top, I see the question, is the financial support to third parties mandatory? I have the impression that it is for you because it's 02.
Yeah, I don't shoot your stage.
Just say something to Luis.
Yes, it is. That's in the other topics is normally an option. This one is mandatory.
So we replied to the topic, broadening the Living Labs approach for soil health in Africa and Latin America and Caribbean. There, the third-party financing is mandatory. The next question is, given the topic text setup of at least 12 participatory initiatives, what is the difference between a participatory initiative and the Living Labs? And it's also a question on the topic on Africa and Latin America. Please, Luis.
Well, as I said, in the other Living Lab topics, we are much more prescriptive. Here, participatory initiatives mean that they will apply Living Lab principles, but the definition of these initiatives should be much bottom up and adapted to the communities and the local conditions. That's why we call the topic broadening the concept of Living Labs.
Thank you, Luis. There is another question on this topic. Can a Latin American institution coordinate a project under this topic?
Yes, indeed, they can.
Thank you very much, Luis. And now we will have still some remaining questions. The first one is related to the topic of Luis. Should we cover all mission soil objectives or only one or more? Should all land uses be covered? Should the focus be on a specific culture, crop?
The topic is not very prescriptive on that. So the proposals should come up with something that makes sense. And by that, I mean that should address in a particular region or area the degradation processes or objectives that are more relevant there, be erosion or contamination or whatever. They should not mandatorily address all land uses, but we would really like, as you know, the mission cover all land uses, to see in different initiatives different land uses. It could also be in combination if it makes sense. So I mean rural, urban, forest. And should not focus on a specific culture or crop. It could, but again, it has to be, let's say, something that is representative in that particular sub-region or area.
Thank you very much. The next question is on the topic of Ben. Can Living Labs work on other biogeographic regions? And I think please go on.
Well, the ones that are mentioned here, Mediterranean, Pannonian, and Atlantic, no. Well, in fact, the majority of the Living Labs should be in one of the 3 biogeographical regions. So the other ones, they can, in principle, also be located in Mediterranean, Pannonian, or Atlantic. But it's important here to say that the majority of the Living Labs need to be in one of these 3 regions.
Thank you very much, Ben. We would like to come back to a previous point. Luis, if you can comment, please.
Yeah, there was a question that probably we didn't interpret well about sites belonging to research organizations that could be eligible or part of a living lab. The answer is no, because what we want is to have real life sites and real life settings. So we are addressing farms, other forest land, urban land, but not experimental sites linked to a research or institution.
And that was related to which topic?
I would say to all the topics.
all the topics. Okay.
To all the living lab topics.
Yes, thank you, Luis. Now we have a question on the first topic. Can territories affected by military actions in Ukraine be considered brownfields?
In short, yes. If there's contamination, pollution, or potential contamination or pollution, yes.
Thank you very much, Helena. So, do we have still additional questions? We still have 2 minutes. There are questions coming in, so we will wait a little bit so we can show you on the screen and we can reply as much as we can. And the first one is already on the screen. It is related to the first topic. Do post-mining sites characterized by degraded soils, but not always contaminated, fall under the definition of brownfields?
Well, if you read the definition in the topic carefully, then you will see that it's about contamination and potential contamination. So there should be a reasonable doubt or some kind of indication of contamination in order that the site would be classified as brownfield. If it's confirmed that there is no contamination, then the answer would be no. If yes, then yes.
Thank you, Elena. The next question is first third-party financing. Is that is only for the topics on the international cooperation entities or also for Europeans? We are in the second topic of the two-stage topics.
In the context of this topic, this is really to support the setup of the participatory initiatives on the ground. So are for Latin American and the Caribbean entities and African entities.
Thank you very much, Luis. We wait still a little because we have 2 minutes still left. And in fact, we are having a question on the international topic. Should we have already the land sites identified in the call, or should these be open on the open calls for land managers to apply?
Well, I think you can already identify the areas where you are going to work, but it's recommendable that you follow a transparent procedure to enroll participants and open calls for land managers once the project is ongoing.
Luis. And I think we're just right in time. There is no other question. So now let's move to the next block. And we'll start with Ariana Paza, who will present the topic social, economic, and cultural drivers and costs of land degradation. Please, Ariana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Australia, and good afternoon. I present the topic on social, economic, and cultural drivers and cost of land degradation. It is a research and innovation action. So what is the policy context? With this topic, we want to contribute to the implementation of the EU soil strategy for 2030. We are, of course, always in the context of the mission soil, and we aim also to contribute to the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goals. in particular on the goal number 15. What are the expected outcomes? So we are trying to close some gaps that we have in knowledge. One is to understand what are the drivers of land management and degradation. And the other one is to understand what are the costs of land degradation. Once we have addressed this knowledge gap, what we expect is that both policymakers and land managers have access to cost-benefit analysis and have also improved capacities to develop sustainable approaches. So let's go to see what is the scope. As I said, we want to work and understand what are the drivers. So we expect that the projects funded under this topic really analyze different drivers in terms of social, economic, cultural, political, and regulatory factors. And we also want that it is understood what is the relation of among the different factors. We are asking the projects that will be funded under this topic to conduct a pan-European assessment of the socioeconomic cost of the different aspects of land degradation. We are also asking to carry out cost-benefit analysis of soil conservation measures and sustainable land management approaches. Moreover, the idea is also to explore what are the good practices that are in place, so to identify good examples of sustainable human-soil relation and understand their potential replicability. Finally, we are asking the project to develop a toolbox of policy solution for different governance levels to, in the end, promote sustainable land management. So the indicative budget for this topic is 11 million euro, and we expect to fund 2 projects. It is key to use an interdisciplinary approach, so to have both environmental science and social sciences and humanities. And we expect that the 2 projects will collaborate between them. And we also expect that the projects will contribute to the other initiatives under the Mission Soil.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ariana. Let's move to the next one, and it will be presented online by a colleague coming from DGM, Unit A3, Francesco Sanchez Crespo, and the topic is increasing environmental resilience through a better knowledge and management of the soil-water nexus. Please, Francesco, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your attention. Yes, I am going to present the next topic, increasing environmental resilience through a better knowledge and management of the soil-water nexus. And this is a research and innovation action with a budget of 6 million for a single project. Next slide, please. Okay, regarding the context, the world is facing an increasing trend in extreme events such as drought, wildfires, and flood, which have a devastating impact not only on the environment, but also on food security, economy, and human security. So a good soil health can help mitigate the occurrence, the virulence, and the scope of those extreme events, and also of other undesirable soil processes, such as, for example, the erosion. But when soil is unhealthy, it loses its capability to mitigate the risk and impacts. So, addressing this challenge, understanding the complex relationships between soil, water, and biodiversity will contribute not only to the objectives of the soil mission, but also to the implementation of the EU biodiversity strategy, the natural restoration regulation, the EU soil strategy, the soil monitoring and resilience directive, the water framework directive, and also the EU action plan on the development of organic production. Regarding the expected outcomes, the results from the selected projects are expected to significantly contribute to 3 main outcomes. The first one, enhancing stakeholder understanding of the importance of soil-water interaction. The second, raising stakeholder awareness of the relevance of soil biodiversity to soil characteristics that are relevant for this soil-water nexus. And third, substantially contributing to increase environmental resilience to both extreme events as well as to other undesirable soil health processes through restoration, conservation, and integrated management of the soil-water nexus. Next slide, please. So, scope, considering the different pedoclimatic areas and land uses across the EU and associated countries, and with a special attention to the difference between conventional, agroecological, and organic production in the specific case of agricultural lands, the research and innovation activities should first develop and validate soil water holding capacity indicators, identify the soil properties, the associated indicators, and the parameters that determine soil water dynamics, and also assess the role of soil biodiversity on these properties. Also, develop and validate new models that integrate the functional role of soil biodiversity in the soil-water interaction, especially regarding risk assessment of extreme events. The other option could be also to improve existing models to integrate this functionality. And finally, assess and validate strategies and best practices proposed in the context of other relevant EU-funded projects and initiatives that also aims to increase environmental resilience by improving the soil-water nexus through restoration, conservation, and management of soil biodiversity. This will require dedicated tasks and resources for coordination and collaboration with those relevant EU-funded projects and initiatives that should be included in the proposal. Finally, I would like to highlight that a close collaboration is expected with the user and the project soil-wise, as well as collaboration is encouraged with the European research infrastructure. And also it's expected that all data producers should follow the FAIR principle, meaning findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward for your question and feedback.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Let's move to the next topics. It will be presented by Panos Panagos from GRCD1 Forest and Bioeconomy Unit, and we will present the topic Soil 04, developing transfer functions for the soil monitoring law. Please, Panos, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Orsolia. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a topic on developing transferring functions for the soil monitoring law. It's a research innovation action. It's of huge importance for the upcoming soil monitoring law. Next slide, please. As far as you know, there is an agreement, a preliminary agreement between the Council and the European Parliament on the soil monitoring law. Probably we'll have soil monitoring law next month. Therefore, we have identified that many countries have national soil monitoring systems, and it will be of huge importance to transfer the data of the national monitoring system in a unique, harmonized pan-European system. And for this purpose, we have identified this research gap, the transfer functions that will allow to transfer the data in a harmonized system. This research topic is also of huge interest for the carbon removal and carbon farming regulation, because there are many data on soil organic carbon, which at the end have been developed by different depths and different methodologies, and it will be of huge importance to have them in a harmonized system. The project is expected to contribute to develop transfer functions for all soil descriptors which are included in the soil monitoring law, and this will allow to have a compatibility, interoperability, and comparability of the data. In addition, we hope to have an interoperable system by integrating those data with soil data from the national monitoring systems and the LUCAS. At the end, the outcome will be a harmonized soil health assessment across the EU, because we'll have the data harmonized after the application of the transfer functions. And important is to have advanced statistical methods which have been validated in the field, and that's why we have an important component on data collection. Next slide, please. Therefore, the project will identify and collect data available in existing sub-archives in Europe, such as Lucas, develop the transfer functions for all descriptors, such as soil organic carbon, soil acidity, pH, P. Olsen, electrical conductivity, and bulk density. There are also other descriptors in the soil monitoring law that needless to say, of course, to compare the results obtained by different sampling protocols, different depths, sampling methods, or different procedures and laboratory procedures, and of course, linked to the national monitoring systems. The statistical method should be robust, and we underline the importance of validation of those statistical methods, or the validation of those transfer functions. And finally, that's why we have put some conditions that the subset of the Lucas 22 location, which at least should cover 21 member states and 80% of the EU land. The indicative budget of this project is around 6 million euros. It will be one project. There will be huge important collaboration with the colleagues in DG Environment because of the importance of the soil monitoring law and the EU Soil Observatory. And we have put also the condition that 30% of the budget should be allocated to sampling and analyzing at least 4,000 locations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Panos. And before going to Slido, we still have one topic that will be presented by Niels Broodhaus from GRCD1 Forest and Bioeconomy Unit, and he will present the topic EU Global Footprint on Soils. Please, Niels, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon from my side. It's my pleasure to present you this topic on the EU Global Footprint on Soils, Research and Innovation Action. This topic is obviously closely linked to Mission Soil Specific Objective 7, which aims to reduce the EU global footprint on soils. But it is also linked to the Objective 8, increasing soil literacy. And beside that, there are closely links to the European Green Deal targets, to the proposed Soil Monitoring and Resilience Directive, and to Sustainable Development Goal 15, which is life on land. Related to the expected outcomes, we have added three expected outcomes. The first one is that stakeholders and relevant stakeholders and policymakers have an increased access to knowledge and data on the impact of the EU demand for bio-based products on non-EU soils. And with bio-based products, we mean, for instance, food, feed, fiber, biomass, or wood. Second expected outcome is an enhanced recognition by stakeholders and citizens of the impact of EU producers, traders, and consumers' behavior on soil health and related social issues globally. And then thirdly, an enhanced uptake of innovative and integrated management practices that will help to reduce the global soil footprint of the EU demand for bio-based products. Overall, we see that the use of bio-based products by business and consumers in the EU has an impact on soils. It has an impact on EU soils, but also on soils outside the EU. But this impact on non-EU soils has been poorly studied and understood. And that's why we have this topic, and that's why proposed activities should develop a tool or a framework and test and validate such a tool. For instance, an EU global soil footprint framework that is able to track and assess a baseline for the global soil footprint of the EU demand for bio-based products. Secondly, proposed activities should explore the positive and negative socioeconomic environmental impacts of improved production systems elsewhere, for instance, soil conservation and soil restoration actions in their attempt to reduce the EU global soil footprint. Next, proposed activities should also bring forward policy recommendations that can help to minimize the EU's global soil footprint. And they should identify obstacles and propose incentives for the uptake of measures to reduce the EU global footprint. And then finally, proposed activities should carry out activities for awareness raising, for communication on the EU global soil footprint, so that citizens are better aware of this global soil footprint. For this topic, we have foreseen 6 million euros. In total, there is one project will be funded. And then finally, a few important notes. International collaboration will be important. So a global network of experts in life cycle analysis will be important for this topic. We encourage the involvement of African partners and Latin American and Caribbean partners, as these are important trade partners of the EU related to bio-based products, and they are host of an important share of global biodiversity. And then finally, collaboration with the Joint Research Center will be important, especially collaboration with the EU Soil Observatory and the Life Cycle Assessment Group at the GRC. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Niels. And now we have finished the presentation on the second block of topics. And now the floor is open for questions. And we are getting questions that we will organize as we used it in the first block by topic. So first we take the questions related to the topic number 3. The first question is, what kind of land use is targeted by this topic? Francisco?
Yes, all land uses. The short answer is all land uses. Agricultural, natural, and urban.
Thank you very much. Can we move to the next question? The same for the same topic. Do we need to address all expected outcomes mentioned for the topic?
Yes, thank you. I think this question is linked with the previous one, so maybe I have to make a clarification. Yes, all expected outcomes should be addressed. And I will maybe make a short clarification. Indeed, it could be difficult to address all these outcomes and land uses with the given budget, but we are expecting multiple synergies from collaboration with living labs and other relevant projects, such as, for example, Sponge Boost or Sponsescapes. So proposals and applicants should keep in mind that coordination and collaboration with other initiatives are very important in this project, in this topic. Thank you.
Francisco, another question on increasing environmental resilience through a better knowledge and management of the soil-water nexus. Please, Francisco. The call asks for dealing with all land uses and issues. Is it possible to focus just on 1 or 2 land uses and on 1 or 2 issues?
No, all land uses should be covered, and also all the parameters, all the properties and parameters should be covered.
Thank you, Francisco. And now we will take some questions on topic 04, which is the one developing transfer functions for the soil monitoring group. So those questions will be replied by Panos. The first question is, are PEDOS transfers functions, for example, to estimate soil density or water retention, to be included in the proposal?
Of course, yes, because those are descriptors in the soil monitoring law. I would recommend that you read very well the descriptors of the soil monitoring law. The call address all the descriptors of the soil monitoring law. Thank you.
Thank you, Panos. And other question to the same topic. Validation should be done by resampling 4,000 Lucas 2022 locations across EU. Why this resampling activity? Why not using archived samples?
Because countries have different sampling depths compared to what was done with Lucas, and we recommend that they sample according to their protocols, according to what they have done already, and compare with Lucas as reference. Therefore, it's needed kind of resampling in those locations.
Thank you, Panos. We are also having other questions coming in from the same topic. Are trace elements, biological indicators, organic contaminants also to be included?
I will recommend again, as said in the first response, the soil descriptors that are including the descriptors that are included in the soil monitoring law, the annex of the soil monitoring law. And there we have explicitly described the heavy metals, all the biodiversity indicators that are described there, and of course, organic contaminants.
And the last one, but I think you will be able to quickly reply. Are there priority soil descriptors to be included in the proposal? And if yes, which ones?
Of course, we cannot give priority as we are very prescriptive by saying the description of the soil monitoring law, but we underline as well the importance of soil organic carbon since this can help in the MRV protocols of the carbon farm.
Thank you very much. We are waiting to see whether other questions are coming in related also to the other topics that we haven't, for which there was no question so far. Thank you very much. So we are having a little more time to break. We will resume at 5 and continue on the last block of topics that we'll present. Thank you very much and see you at 5. Welcome back to the session dedicated to the mission soil. And we are continuing after having already presented 7 topics. Now we go to the next round. And the next mission soil topic for 2025 that we will present is the topic Soil 06, quantifying the impact of farming practices on soil health in arable lands. And the topic will be presented by my colleague Vincent Chedri. Please, Vincent.
Merci, Julia. Good afternoon, dear candidates. So this is a topic, this is a single stage topic, research innovation action, which will fund one project of 6 million. If we move to the next slide, please. So a bit of a policy context. This will, of course, contribute to reaching different objectives of the mission implementation plan, but more importantly, it will support policy colleagues under the Common Agricultural Policy, mainly the environmental objectives and very more specifically the soil health objectives. So the expected outcomes. On an overview, this is aimed to deepen our understanding of how different farming practices impact soil health. This not only from like single practices, but more importantly in combination. This is still a major gap, as most farmers rarely implement practices individually, but in combination. So it's important that we better understand how different practices, when combined, impact different dimensions of soil health, including the nutrients, organic matter, greenhouse gas emissions, and so on. The second expected outcome, is that there's a greater uptake of these soil health benefiting practices. So this is aimed at there's more evidence that will be picked up by our colleagues in the policy units here in DG Agri, and also help our colleagues in the GRC to digest and make all that data available. Of course, the third expected outcome is that member states, when designing policies which are tailored to their own phytoclimatic constraints, have it easier to develop strategies which are aimed at their own member states and regions. If we move to the next slide. Consequently, some of the research activities that will support these outcomes are that first, we would like you to map homogeneous soil uses in the European Union, which are comparable. Then that you select a certain number of soil health indicators, which of course align with the soil monitoring law and also with the soil implementation plan. It would be also beneficial that you look at the IMAP and all the data that is available from the GRC. Then the main objective, of course, is that you quantify with coefficients each single and in combination farming practices, and that you make that available through dynamic map. It's very important that you develop and leverage what is already existing. So the GRC have developed very recently an inventory of farming practices, which has been developed based on a lot of primary research, but then leading to meta-analysis. This is very user-friendly, so I would encourage everyone to have a look at those and further develop that. Of course, it's also very important that you look at all the instruments and incentives that are made available under the CAP, more precisely the good and agricultural environmental conditions, eco schemes, and so on. So you must have a very good understanding of what is available to then improve that. So then another very important aspect is that you make use of artificial intelligence so that the process is accelerated. As you are most certainly aware, doing meta-analysis is very time-consuming. So in that regard, we would like to make use of AI to accelerate this process and make a first analysis of all the literature as available that will which will then further be used for the inventory and solidify the coefficients, correlating farming practices and impact on soil health. And then the last activity is that you make that from a more holistic perspective. So when, as I said, combined practices are looked into and comparable, such as agroecology, organic, and so on. Then a couple parameters that are important for you to consider. In this topic, we expect that you make use of the multi-actor approach. Here, it's very important that you include practitioners, so agricultural stakeholders. This can be chambers of agriculture, ministries, and competent authorities that are in charge of developing national strategies to incentivize the positive practices for soil health. And then another important parameter is that you very much make use of what is already available and developed by the JRC. Here, I would like to stress that you are not expected to reach out to JRC colleagues beforehand. We have already identified relevant colleagues, and once a proposal will have been selected, we will facilitate and share contacts for you to exchange with them. And then I think it's also important that you make sure that you have sufficient resources available to collaborate, notably also with the Partnership for Agroecology. This would be it on my end.
Thank you, Vincent. Let's move to the next topic. It will be presented by Giuseppe Pellegrino from RTDB2. It is topic soil 07, improved land suitability for soil health and sustainable biomass production. Please, Giuseppe, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, Sonia. Dear participants, dear future applicants, dear all, good afternoon. I'm here to give the insights you need to know to write a successful proposal for the call Improved Land Suitability for Soil Health and Sustainable Biomass Production, which is a research and innovation action that has an indicative budget of 6 million euros. Let me begin by saying that soil is a fundamental component of the terrestrial ecosystem, and it is also crucial for biomass production. However, excessive nutrient export due to biomass production and removal can negatively impact soil health and overall ecosystem function. So let me continue. What are the expected outcomes that the project should bring to the society? The Commission wishes to see improved soil health, land suitability, choice, and optimized sustainable production of biomass. The Commission also wishes that there is an improved knowledge on the relationship between biomass production, soil biodiversity, and ecosystem health, and also soil-water interactions. Finally, the Commission also wishes to see that there is a better understanding and assessments of land suitability and land management practices that contribute to soil restoration and sustainable biomass production for food and non-food uses across Europe. What are the important elements that the Commission wishes to see in the future project? The core work of the consortium shall consist in developing process-based models that provide information about the best land suitability that guarantees a sustainable biomass production from both food and non-food, while improving also soil health. It is important that the consortium engage with the land manager to understand their needs and challenges for the adoption of land management practices that improve sustainable biomass production while improving soil health. It is also important that a comprehensive literature review is done to understand the social, economic, and environmental aspects of biomass production and use. We would like also to see that the project considers also that the biomass and soil-water interaction in the development of such models. We suggest that the model uses various data sources coming from example from the EU Soil Observatory, the European Joint Programme on Agriculture Soil Management, also known as the EGP Soil, but also the knowledge coming from the EU Mission Soil Project, notably also the Living Labs. Finally, we would like that the future consortium broadens the scope of the finding by upscaling the experimental results and models to larger scale, regional, national, and European, while also integrating social, economical data. Project activities shall be carried out by selecting the 10 most important annual, periannual agriculture and forest crops and polycultural plants in Europe, including peatlands and marginal land biomass. It is a project, the future project will have an indicative budget of 7 million euro. What is important, as I said, is also the multifunctional cropping system and also the collaboration with the European Union Soil Observatory. This is it, and I wish good luck to the future applicants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe. And before going to the question and answer session, we still have one topic to be presented. It will be presented by my colleague Matthias Launar-Meyer, and he will present the topic Soil 08, support to the operation and further development of soil health science policy interfaces and national soil health hubs. Please, Leo, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This topic has quite a long and complicated title. The keywords here are science policy on the one hand, and then national hubs on the other hand. And this will become clearer as we look at first the context a little bit. So we start from the observation that quite a few different science policy interfaces related to soil health exist in various places at different levels. But they are generally not very well connected among each other. And in some cases, it's also a bit unclear how well they actually work. So this is in relation to science policy interfaces. And there's a somewhat similar situation when it comes to national soil health hubs, specifically for the mission soil. Some countries have created so-called mirror groups, and then there are other similar structures emerging from other earlier projects. These are the elements on which the project should build. It should then lead to, in terms of knowledge, it should improve both the access to relevant knowledge. It should say on drivers there, apologies, on drivers of soil degradation, and also to improved uptake of this. It should also strengthen or where necessary newly create relevant structures at national and or regional level, structures for coordinating soil health research and policy. And then there's another important element that should not be overlooked, that is in terms of exchanging with structures that support other missions in Horizon Europe. So of course, people will be aware that Mission Soil is only one of 5 missions, and some similar challenges exist in other missions, and we're making a conscious effort to address these, not in isolation. So then, with regard to the scope, again, a relatively long list, but as you see, it's also for a CSA quite a generously funded topic. So starting with a stock take of the science policy mechanisms and activities that exist, which should then also lead to an analysis and assessment of what they have done and how well this is being done. As part of this assessment, we want to see case studies of real-life interactions around specific challenges of monitoring and improving soil health, so that the idea is not just to develop abstract principles or criteria, but really to ground them in experience that exists from other projects and or informal interactions between scientists and policymakers, and identify there the criteria for success. Then, in order to move from this piecemeal situation that we have at the moment to a more coherent network, the project should facilitate connections among the existing mechanisms and structures, so that where there are gaps, those are closed, and where there are overlaps, those are reduced for greater effectiveness overall. A last step in that chain of activities would then be the assessment of options for developing a functioning cross-country science policy interface. And those options should include consideration of a dedicated science service, as it already exists in other policy domains. This interface to be developed should also include tools for managing the soil health knowledge that exists and that will continue to emerge from mission projects and from others, so that it can be accessed in one place as easily as possible. And then last but certainly not least, building on what we have observed with regard to mirror groups, soil health hubs, and so on, the project should support the further development of those, and here as well close the gaps that exist, and coordinate the creation of a Europe-wide network of the different national level structures. Yeah, this being a CSA, there will be one project only for 6 million, as I already hinted at, and otherwise no particular strings attached, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leo. And now we open the floor for a next question and answer session. So we have presented 3 topics, topic 6, 7, and 8. Topic 6 on quantifying the impact of farming practices on soil health in arable lands. Topic 7 on improved land suitability for soil health and sustainable biomass production. And topic 8 that just Leo presented on sciences, policy interfaces, and national soil health hubs. And the first questions are, the first question I see on the screen is related to topic 8. So the science policy interfaces and national soil health hubs. The topic asks for creation of national soil health hubs in all member states. Does that mean that each member state should be represented in the consortium?
Yeah, it's an important question, and actually I should have mentioned this requirement for all member states, not necessarily all associated countries, but all member states should, at the end of the project, have some such structure. They do exist already in some of the member states, so maybe for those countries, it would not be strictly necessary to have a partner in the consortium, although I would think that it could still help. At the end of the day, what matters here is the result. If this can be achieved differently, then it would not be, and it should not, the proposal should not suffer from that, let's say. That's a little bit up to the applicants how they think it can best be achieved.
Thank you, Leo. Let's go now to the topic 6, which is the topic quantifying the impact of farm practices on soil health in arable lands. We have 2 questions related to that topic. The first is it mandatory to include pastures and as land use?
So to answer the question briefly, no, it's not mandatory. Evidently, the topic focuses on arable lands. However, it would be interesting still to, when you map different land uses, to at least consider pastures, as evidently it's quite interesting to see how different livestock systems can, in combination with cropping system, potentially improve the quality of soils. But again, this is up to you, and according to the text, it's not mandatory.
Thank you, Vincent. Another question related to the same topic on arable lands. How can we know which mission soil projects are included in the cluster indicators and monitoring in case relevant interactions could be established?
Well, I think if you go on the Mission Soil platform, that provides a good reference for you to see ongoing projects which focus on that, and start from there.
Thank you, Vincent. We are waiting for additional questions. For the moment, I do not see other comments on other questions on the screen, but we wait some minutes to leave you the time to ask additional questions, if any. Meanwhile, maybe I can remind that all sessions of the Info Days are recorded, so also this one, and can be rewatched later on. I think somebody asked a question during the event, so this one is also recorded and can be rewatched later on. There is a new question coming in related to topic 6. So that is the topic which is related to quantifying the impact of farming practices on soil health in arable lands. And the question is, the indicator must be relative on a baseline or absolute value?
Thank you for the question. So this is rather open for you. I think it kind of depends a bit on which indicator you will be selecting. So yeah, this depends a bit on in which specific context and which indicator you're looking at. Also, what is the state of development of that specific indicator you would potentially include. So here there's no specific guidelines or mandatory use of one or the other.
Thank you, Vincent. I do not see for the moment additional questions. It seems not be the case. So if there is no other question, then we can move to the last block of topics that we'll present. And the first one will be presented by Arina Paza, my colleague. You already heard her this afternoon. It is related to topic 09, citizen engagement for sustainable land management through local and regional authorities. Please, Ariana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Orsolya. So this is a coordination and support action. And this topic is contributing, of course, to the mission soil and in particular to its objective 8, so to improve soil literacy in society. And it is also contributed to the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular number 15 and number 11. So what are the expected outcomes of this topic? We expect to increase public awareness on the importance of soil, but also on the challenges it faces. We expect that an increased number of regions and municipalities across Europe have adopted territorial management agreements co-designed with citizens. And finally, we expect that local and regional authorities have improved access to capacity building activities, both to encourage the protection and restoration of soil health, but also to run citizen engagement processes in sustainable land management. So the scope is really to provide training and technical support to public authorities to design and run participatory processes at the local level. These processes should lead to the adoption of territorial management agreements. We expect that the project funded under this topic will launch the implementation of at least 40 territorial management agreements, so one per local or regional authority involved. This is a terminology that comes from a previously funded project under the mission. So the project that used these terminologies is HUMUS. It is indicated in the topic text. So the idea here is really to build on the existing activities and to increase and improve the existing activities. So then, always under the scope, we expect that the project will organize capacity building activities for representatives of local and regional authorities, including training, peer-to-peer learning, and knowledge sharing activities. And overall, we expect that the project will promote the adoption of solutions for the restoration of soil health at the different governance level. So proposals should actively involve local and regional authorities, and they have two options on how to do this. So authorities can be part of the project as beneficiaries, so from the very beginning, or they can also, there is the possibility to use the financial support to third parties, so to involve local and regional authorities in a second moment. And this, in principle, should facilitate their participation. So the budget is 5 million euro. We expect to fund only one project. It requires a transdisciplinary approach, and it requires also the collaboration with other initiatives under the mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariana. Let's move to the next topic. It will be presented by our colleague from DG Clima, Unit C3, Low Carbon Solutions, Sandro Nieto Silleras. It is topic soil number 10, Network on Carbon Farming and Emissions Reductions for Agriculture and Forest Lands. Please, Sandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ursulia. So I will present this topic for a network on carbon farming and emissions reduction for agriculture and forest lands. So this is a coordination and support action. So if we go to the next slide, we will see that this topic will contribute to several EU policies and legislations related to climate and land, but notably the regulation for the certification of carbon removals and carbon farming, so the CRCF, and also this topic will support the related expert group from the Commission on carbon removals. So the expected outcomes for this topic are first to contribute to a state-of-the-art knowledge on practices for carbon farming and for the reduction of emissions from agriculture, forestry, and livestock. So I emphasize these three sectors because this is an important added value in comparison to past topics. And this, as I said, in support to the CRCF's implementation by land managers and supporting also the Commission's expert group. The second outcome is that it should enhance the uptake by land managers of the above mentioned practices, and also to support the development of standards backing these practices. And lastly, it should increase the capacities of land managers for measuring, monitoring, and standardizing carbon fluxes at the landscape level via a network for improved data collection. Next slide, please. Regarding the scope, the topic should expand the existing network of key stakeholders, which involved research, solution providers, administrations, pharma advisors and managers, and so on, that are involved in soil carbon sequestration and emission reductions programs. So I say existing network because given a previous topic, a related topic, now we have an ongoing project called Credible that is supporting our policies on this field. So the second scope to be covered by this topic is to support the expert group that I have already mentioned, its work with specific recommendations to the different actors, and also to expand the platform for exchange of experiences, which will support the development of schemes for carbon farming and reduction of emissions. Another point is to underpin the expansion of data collection networks, and here also to contribute to create an EU-focused in situ monitoring network, as well as promoting also data sharing, standardization, and aggregation. Also, this topic should identify opportunities for geographically explicit ecosystem monitoring and carbon mitigation solutions, as well as support with data the improvement of national greenhouse gas inventories. At the end of the project, it should be self-sustainable in time. And finally, this project should cover carbon removals and greenhouse gas emission reductions in croplands, grasslands, forests, the livestock sector, nutrients chain, and so on. The budget for one project will be of 3 million euros, and it's important that it coordinates and collaborates with other EU initiatives in addition to the expert group that I've mentioned, and also that it follows a multi-actor and a co-creation approach. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sandro. And now the last topic that will be presented today will be presented by Panos Panagos from the GRC, and he will present the topic Soil 11, Soil Salinity in Europe, Drivers, Indicators, Current Levels, and Temporal Changes. Please, Panos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Solia. Again, good afternoon. So soil salinity is an important indicator also for the soil monitoring law. And in the policy context, it's also important as well. As mentioned, one of the soil-specific objectives, the objective 4.6, to halt and reduce secondary salinization in the soil mission. Of course, it is also important for the European Green Deal targets relevant to the biodiversity, climate, food, and important as well for the Sustainable Development Goals 13 and Sustainable Development Goals 15. Till now, we haven't detailed assessment of soil salinity in Europe. Practically, we miss assessment, spatial assessments, and temporal assessments of soil salinization in Europe. Therefore, we have a research gap, and we expect that the project will come with, at the end of the project, we'll have quantitative data, which means high-resolution maps based on models. Currently, we have the Lucas, where we have assessed electrical conductivity, but we expect from the project to go one step further and to develop high-resolution assessments based on the data that we provide in Lucas, but also other data that exist, and afterwards, based on the high-resolution maps, to develop indicators on soil salinity in Europe. We have certain knowledge of the main drivers of soil salinization in Europe, but we expect that the project goes one step further and explores more which are the main physical and the anthropogenic drivers for soil salinization. In addition, we expect that the project will compile datasets from past temporal shifts, but also will be able to develop projections of future trends on soil salinity based on climate change projections and land cover. And finally, we expect as well some sustainable land management strategies, innovative ones, to prevent and minimize this important this threat and somehow remediate the soil salinization in Europe. Therefore, the scope of the project has to do, we know very well that soil salinity has a negative impact on soil fertility, biodiversity, and ecosystem functions. The role of climate change is well known. I mean, the climate change shifts will somehow have also an impact in increasing soil salinity, particularly in southern Europe. The important to investigate the relationship between the soil salinity, the vegetation, soil biodiversity and drought, but also the different cropping systems, to develop harmonized assessments, as said before, high-resolution maps of soil salinity in Europe, but including as well Earth observation techniques with remote sensing, advanced remote sensing techniques, and new Copernicus products. This becomes more easy, but taking into account as well the sampling data of Lucas, to assess the impact of saltwater intrusion in coastal regions, practically the impact of soil salinity in certain coastal regions in Europe and the vulnerability due to climate change, to identify hotspots, of course, based on the high resolution assessment, and where the areas of risk are and where will be more evident those areas, and propose some innovative land management practices and strategies that will address both the mitigation and adaptation to soil salinization. As said before, it's also a descriptor in the soil monitoring law. It's of high relevance. We addressed many different indicators and soil threats in the past. This was missing. That's why we have put this project in front, and there is an indicative budget of 6 million, and it's expected as well to have a close collaboration with the EU Soil Observatory. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Panos. We have finished the presentation of all our topics. So now the floor is yours in case you have any questions. To recall, now we are taking primary questions on topics that were presented now. So topics 9, 10, and 11. And we also got some questions in the previous topics, and we will take them afterwards. So first, let's take the questions related to this block of topics. And the first one is related to topic 09, which is citizen engagement for sustainable land management through local and regional authorities. And the question is, can you explain what a territorial management agreement is? Are there examples and where to find them? Ariana.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So in the topic, we have explained that the terminology, territorial management agreement, comes from one of the projects that is currently funded under the mission. So the project is HUMUS. You can find more information on how the project is still being implemented on their website. I'm not sure they have already published an example of a territorial management agreement. And in this topic, you are not obliged to follow the exact structure of the territorial management agreement that you must use. But the idea is that we build on existing results and that we improve them. But the sense of this is that what we want in this with this topic, and so the project, what should the project do is to run participatory processes at the local level, and one of the output of these participatory processes should be this territorial management agreement, meaning a kind of a pact between the public authorities and the citizens that were engaged on how the territory will be managed with the objective of improving soil health at the local level. I hope this was a little bit clearer.
Thank you, Ariana. For the moment, we do not have questions related to the other topic that we have presented right now, but we have questions related to previous topics. The first one is related to topic 05. Topic 05 was new global footprint on soils. And the question is, are all bio-based categories mentioned in the topic expected to be covered by the proposal?
Thank you for that question. No, not necessarily. These bio-based categories that were mentioned in the topic description are just examples, are to guide you to show what we mean with bio-based products. So it's not necessarily that all these examples are covered. But what is important is that firstly, it's your proposal to deal about bio-based products, so not industrial or mining products. And secondly, when you are developing a tool to track the baseline of the soil footprint, that tool should then be in the long term be applicable to all categories of bio-based products. So although they should not be necessarily all included in your proposal, the tool should be in long term also be applicable to other categories. I hope I made my points clear.
Thank you, Niels. And the next question is also on the same topic on EU global footprint on soils. How to include GRC in the proposal, given the line is that GRC cannot commit to any proposals. Just by the time the project is awarded. Niels, do you want to-
Yeah, I'm not really sure how this should
We
be.
can take this question if needed.
Okay, thank you.
In preparation, that is the general line. That's Ariana, if you want.
Yeah, I can take it. So you are not supposed to contact the JRC while you are preparing the proposal. You will contact the JRC only if you are selected for funding, and you will agree, let's say, in the moment the grant agreement is prepared, how the JRC will be finally involved.
GRC colleague, do you want to react or is it okay to reply?
I think it's crystal clear what Ariana said, and
Okay.
This are the general rules that are listed in the website
Yes.
of Horizon on the GRC participation in Horizon projects. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you, Carlos.
colleagues.
The next question is related to topic 06. That is quantifying the impact of farm practices on soil health in arable land. So the question is for Vincent. Shall we include all soil health indicators or just the mentioned in the call?
Thank you for the question. So indeed, you are not supposed to consider all soil health indicators. As it's written, you are expected to select some, which makes sense based on the pedoclimatic region you are looking at. But of course, you are more than welcome to look at what is available in the legislation. This includes under the CAP and also under the soil monitoring law. And for inspiration, you can also look at European Union's Soil Observatory and also look at the evidence library of the GRC. They have a table with some information that might be helpful in selecting, but you are not expected to consider all of them. Make a selection, a sound one, which is as applicable as possible. And this is what is expected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. For the moment, we do not have other questions, but we will wait a little because we have still some minutes to go in case. While waiting for the additional questions, yes, just to remind, as we said at the beginning, we have our mission implementation platform where you can find many important information on our activities and also all the activities that we have related to soil health. And of course, we have the soil manifesto. That could be a big push that we create a very broad soil health community. That is a key element to boost the actions on the ground and to act all together for soil health. So please read it and please consider signing it if you haven't signed it yet. I do not see any other questions coming in. So it seems not to be the case. Anyhow, if you have still questions and you think that your question has not been answered today, please check the available guidance and frequently asked questions on the EU funding tenders portals, as I had said at the beginning. If your question is about living labs, remember you can address to SOEL, our dedicated support structure for living labs. If you don't find the answer, you can submit your question to the Research Inquiry Service. And in that case, we will reply you in writing. And as I said already before, you can also address your question, of course, to your national contact point. As I said, we also have our Mission Soil platform when you can and updated information on our projects, events. It can be a very useful information also for your application. To conclude our session, I would like to inform you that the NCP4 missions, the networking project of national contact points for the 5 EU missions, is organizing an online brokerage event on the 26th and 27th May. The event will give potential applicants with practical information to successfully navigate the 25 Horizon Europe mission course. Online bilateral meetings will be organized to present expertise, project ideas, and explore collaboration opportunities. A long-term matchmaking phase will follow the event and remain active until the closure of the 25 call. More information available on the NCP4 missions official event website. And now it is time to conclude and to close the meeting. And before doing that, I would like to thank all the speakers for their presentations and for their answers. I would like to thank the participants for their participation, for the questions that they have raised, and we wish you success in your application. Thank you very much for the participation and see you next time. Bye-bye.